abusia chema Wontumi Bernard and Chibosiakon ye Mr. Bakon ene MPP Ashanti Regional Chairman chema Wontumi akopie mu ewo court na this time no ene the defense witness na nyoma bi akoso ewo ho a allegedly kira some betrayal bi akoso ewo court ho yes betrayal bi akoso ewo court na chema Wontumi eho adwure ni yie papa no ene ne lawyer ekese omo dwen ne asi anase ne ekoso wo ho no in fact ama arehwo ahye omo akoma so ma we de yenko na ya yetie enkoma ekoso ne ekoso ewo court ho de ensem na chema Wontumi the defense witness ebe kan ene chese enyoma ekoso ewo court ho we de omo yenteni na message ebe se wa se subscribe like na wa bo so ashima for president no
Region Minister Kwabena Okyere Mensah has been discharged by the court after he testified as a third defense witness for former MPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Wontumi. Among other things, Okyere Mensah admitted during cross-examination that he was unaware of the conversation between Wontumi and Henry Okumi, who is the prosecution witness number 2, which resulted in the latter mining on his concession, Asamre Boy. Lord Edwasari reports.
Bernard Enchi-Boisiakon, also known as Wontumi, is facing charges of assigning mining rights without the approval of the land minister and facilitating illegal mining operations on the Asamre Boy concession in the Western region. Former Western Regional Minister Kwabena Okyere Mensah, who also served as chairman of the Western Regional Security Council, told the court during his testimony that a formal complaint was received from Akonta Mining about the invasion of illegal mining operators on Wontumi's Asamre Boy concession. He affirmed that the complaint was written and documented and was urgently acted upon by the Security Council, as it was consistent with several complaints from other mining rights owners in the region about organized criminal groups invading concessions and carrying out illegal mining. During cross-examination by Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Fremsai, the former minister, who served from 2017 to 2025, disclosed that he did not personally know the prosecution's second witness, Henry Okum, the individual who testified that he was commissioned by Wontumi to mine on his concession. Henry Okum had further told the court that Wontumi did not produce any formal mining rights. Asked about the engagement between Okum and Wontumi, Mensah indicated that he was unaware of the interaction between the small-scale miner and the NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman. Lead counsel and the Apia Kubi expressed satisfaction with the outcome of the testimony.
Was to indicate that it was rather Chairman Wontumi and his company that made reports to his office as then chairman of the Western Regional Security Council, and that all efforts made by the Security Council to ward off illegal miners and also to redeem or reclaim the lands so degraded by illegal mining were at his instance. So today's evidence sits very well with our own, and indeed it exonerates people who engage in reclamation of degraded lands.
Defense lawyers are set to call their next witness on Wednesday, June 3. Lord Edwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, residents of Kenke Factory, a suburb of Koforigia, are demanding sustainable drainage systems and wider culverts to address recurring floods in the area. The flooding, which residents blame on ongoing China Mall construction, has affected the community in recent weeks. Although the Eastern Region Minister Rita Akosua-Awate ordered a suspension of work on the project over a week ago to allow for proper drainage works, residents say only partial desilting has been done and it is not enough. Now, TV3 correspondent Yvonne Nikwe was in the community to interact with residents on their concerns and propose solutions. Let's now hear from the residents.
During construction time, for them to just have a look at it. So that culvert needs to be opened. Yeah, they just need to open the culvert and then allow the water to flow safely, or allow the water to flow normally, how it should be flowing.
I think when they do it well, it will help the situation. Even if not all the safer, it will help somehow. Except they remove the gutters, they do the gutter well, open the gutter, the channel, so that when the rain falls, it can flow fluent or fast. Oh, I love people's materials. I'm a tailor. I sew in the house. People came and give me materials. I have many materials there. If after that the materials that spoil, I can't dry it. Even when I dry it, there will be stains inside, and I cannot use it anymore. It's not necessary to keep it that material. So I just burn them and forget about it because it's happening already.
Nanansan boys be yes China for abeto hai edo how bebre abre ye di kan ekowura edem na eyi nkrofo niema ye maami se owu ye mfi afeni akiraba ono sa nso ni yiri sa na eko ne dem na ne mani ni ho timra ne mani ba ye na ewura ekododo so won pagya no de me kodu hospital ni wu.
Now, some traditional leaders in Jakobu, the capital of the Amansie Central District in the Ashanti region, have protested to oppose the siting of the government's proposed the siting of the government's proposed 24-hour market project. Now, these residents say they are discontent that the project site has allegedly been relocated to Mile 9 instead of Jakobu. Addressing the media, Jasihene of Jakobu, Nana Enim Koko, expressed disappointment over what he described as the disregard for the concerns and interests of the traditional council and the people of Jakobu.
That town, any Jakobu, district capital, any Jakobu. You say, you know, one more at the Abasa on Baba Yamay, and 24 babies and an arm to Benya baby. I know. Ampa ye kyerɛ wo mo asase a kyerɛ sɛ wo betumi ayi dwumadie wo ho dwumadie no de wo mpɛ sɛ wo no ho biara no e betumi akɔ amana yiyi ye ne ewura DC ye wo Amansie Central ehia wo ho ma wo mo ma eti ase sɛ ampa wo ma asase no ye de asase na ma wo mo didie tie biara no wo me beba de dwumadie no e wo ha maye.
Evans Inkum is our correspondent on this beat. Evans, what more can you tell us about this protest and whether officials are willing to engage traditional leaders on their grievances?
From the municipal or district chief executive, as far as the Amansie Central is concerned, but to these traditional, council members, they believe that there's some level of breach of trust, and it is stemming from what they describe as the fact that, there has been a sudden change of mind. Considering earlier conversation with traditional authority, I'm talking about the siting of the 24-hour market within that particular enclave, that is between the traditional authority and that of government. Because they thought that Jakobu presents some level of a vibrant business environment, very conducive for this particular project. But now it has been moved to Mile 9, which is about 20 kilometers away from the district capital, Jakobu. But Kemeni, let me say that this is not new as far as this particular project is concerned. The Ashanti region has recorded pockets of such mild, or if you like, a minor protest in some parts of the region.
Evans, we leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Evans Inkum, Ashanti region correspondent there with that report from Jakobu. Now, stigma, lack of funds and family support continue to pose a huge challenge to ending obstetric fistula in the northern region. According to the Regional Directorate of Health, the situation is thwarting efforts by the Directorate and other stakeholders to completely eliminate obstetric fistula cases in that region. Now, this was disclosed to TV3 following a successful repair of 12 cases in Yendi. Let's go to Tamale now and speak to correspondent Christopher Amwako on this matter. Christopher, what else is there to know about the widespread of fistula cases in the northern region and what it means for these 12 patients to get relief?
Yes, so Kevin, if you come to the northern parts of the country, fistula is seen as something that's related to witchcraft because they believe that once you have that condition, it is sort of spiritually related according to the people. So your family is stigmatized against yourself and all the people around you. It is very difficult for the people to even associate themselves with the communities in which they live in. And so the Directorate of Health here in the region has taken it upon themselves to intensify education, go to the communities to also ensure that people living with fistula get early treatment. Let's take a listen to what the regional directorate has been saying about the stigma and lack of funding associated with the treatment of fistula.
So for northern region, we have a lot of fistula cases, but because of one or two reasons, in terms of stigma, lack of funding for the repairs, and then for the fistula cases, most of them usually don't have family support. So we find it difficult getting them to come out to accept that they actually have these conditions that they need. When a woman is suffering from fistula, some community members think that the woman is a witch or has offended their gods, and that is why this issue has befallen that client. So most of the times they are neglected, and when they stay at home for a very long time before we are able to even identify and fetch them out for the treatment, the condition becomes worse. And because they are stigmatized, they don't also want to come out to say that they have the condition. And those who also even have the condition within the facilities, I mean their communities, they are confined in a room.
Well, Christopher, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for the reporting. Christopher Mwako, Northern Region correspondent, bringing us to a close for this edition of News Central. I'm Kemeni Amano. I'll see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
I think this 20% cannot help us at all, honestly speaking. About 30% of it will be better. 30% maybe we'll manage. Even that one too also is a problem actually, but we'll manage.
It doesn't help us at all. At least referee, if they can make it up until 30%, it's going to help us.
But 20% is not enough. At least we should at like 30%.
In some way, it's going to benefit someone, and another way, someone is going to suffer, because the 20% is going to help us at least manage the food that we buy, because it's like we are going inside, our income is going inside the food. So, but another way, the passenger who is receiving a little salary is also going to suffer.
Meanwhile, passengers are expressing concern over the possible impact of any increase on their cost of living, warning that higher fares will further strain household incomes already affected by inflation.
An increase in fuel prices won't help us right now. My sales aren't good. I will increase the price of my goods if fuel prices go up.
Just as discussions on the proposed percentage adjustment continue, the road transport operators say the purported 20% increase should be disregarded. The group insists consultations are still ongoing, adding that they remain in continuous engagement and negotiation with the Ministry of Transport to reach a consensus.
The 60-year-old Eric Mante, who injured his son after tying and dragging him behind a quad bike at North Legon, has been granted bail by the Adenta Circuit Court 1. This was after he pleaded not guilty to charges leveled against him by the police. Let's respond to this report.
Mante is standing trial after being charged with causing harm to his 16-year-old son, whom he allegedly tied to a quad bike and dragged onto a tar street in North Legon, causing severe injuries to the victim. The boy sustained injuries to his back, arms, knees, feet and pelvic region. When he appeared before the Adenta Circuit Court 9 on Monday, June 1, the accused told the court, presided over by her Hannah Angela Tachi, that he was not guilty of the charges preferred against him by the police. The accused was represented by a counsel who claimed to be a friend of the court. The judge, after listening to argument from both the state prosecutor and the counsel for the accused, granted the accused bail to reappear on August 19, 2026, when the full trial is expected to commence. Earlier, the MP for Medina, Dr. Francis Xavier Sosu, maintained that the accused's failure to apologize for his actions would warrant a full trial.
It's one of those cases that we are very, very interested in. We are not taking it lightly because many have said that perhaps because he's a person with physical challenge, it means that we just have to let him go, but it can't work that way. If you are physically challenged and you decide to be wicked and be criminal, the law will deal with you. And so I am hopeful that he would just plead guilty simpliciter so that we probably appeal to the court for a non-custodial sentence or something, given his condition. However, if he chooses not to do that, then we will push fully for the full sentence that he deserves.
The accused, after being granted bail, returned home to live with the son, the survivor he is alleged to have abused. Meanwhile, the 16-year-old survivor is recovering from the traumatic experience he was subjected to. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Accra. In more news tonight, theological reflections and national development took center stage as the Theological Education and Mission Center of the University of Gold Coast hosted the maiden edition of its Bible Breakfast Club. The event brought together the clergy, academics, and professionals to discuss the relevance of Bible principles in leadership, governance, and everyday life.
In edition of the Bible Breakfast Club, Christians were challenged to confront what speakers described as a growing crisis of weak discipleship, commercialized spirituality, prophetic excesses, and political manipulation within the church. The Chancellor of the University of Gold Coast, Bishop Gideon Titiofe, admonished Ghanaian churches to protect the integrity of the gospel and remain faithful to its core values. The keynote speaker at the event, Most Reverend Professor Johnson Kwabna Samuel-Jedu, highlighted the need for stronger accountability in charismatic and prophetic ministries, as well as improved governance within the church.
I think that Bishop Titiofe and his team have done very well in bringing us to this forum where we discuss how our hyper religious activity in this country, especially those who provide prophetic influence, as it were, help to guide Christian discourse in this country to make sure that the positive aspect of the gifts that God has given us are brought to bear on the developmental agenda.
For Apostle James Niamponsa, prophecy must not be taken lightly by religious leaders or politicians.
Let's situate our prophecies within the context of the scripture. But the situation where we want to scare people, put fear into them, threaten them more or less, make them to panic and become jittery and afraid, instead of having faith in Jesus and faith in the word of God, I think that such practices must be brought to an end.
Organizers say the initiative forms part of effort to foster dialogue on issues affecting both the church and society.
Cowbell Milk, a product from Promasidor Ghana Limited, has marked this year's World Milk Day with pupils from some selected basic schools in the Greater Kumasi area. The highlight of the occasion was to promote the importance of milk consumption among children.
The beneficiary schools included TI Ahmadiyya Basic School B, Afaus Lovely Schools, and Best Brain Academy. World Milk Day is observed annually on June 1. The day highlights the importance of milk intake, especially among children. Branch Executive of Cowbell Milk, Linda Ekuapenin, encouraged parents and guardians to include milk in the diets of their children. She noted that cowbell milk contains vital nutrients that support healthy growth and development.
We want to see students eating well and having the best nutrition, and taking cowbell milk contains all the vitamins they need, like the vitamins A, which is good for their eyesight, vitamin B, C, D, everything else. The unique blend will be found in cowbell Vita-Rich as well. Today we are blending it with Twisco. Like Twisco is our energy drink that we are mixing it with cowbell milk for them to also enjoy.
A nurse officer at Asafubuache Specialist Hospital, Eric Osei Asenso, advised breastfeeding mothers to breastfeed their babies during the recommended period.
Milk is an essential part of any kid's life. As parents, it is very important that we do our best to serve them with sufficient milk, if possible, daily. Once they're able to eat enough, we'll be able to.
When I sema chema Wontumi insensema ekosono, when I sema any witness no ebitray no, na sema free court wo, the dear be abadum. So subscribe you are not subscribing no white notification bell so. One share ama unu enso nyebi, ebi ba political hairline so a, the sad be ababadum. That one say, na me sure.